This is the July-August 2017 issue of the BVA Bulletin, Volume 72, Number 4. The current national president of the Blinded Veterans Association is Dale Stamper of Hayden, Idaho. Joe Parker of Pisgah Forest, North Carolina, is the national vice president. Paul Mims of Kansas City, Missouri, continues in the position of national secretary. BVA's national treasurer is Joseph McNeil of Columbus, Georgia. Serving as district directors from Districts 1 to 6 are the following: Dennis O'Connell of Long Beach, New York, representing District 1, David Fox of Kettering, Ohio, the District 2 director, Vernon Richmond of Haw River, North Carolina, directing District 3, and Genesee Amaro of Gilbert, Arizona, the director from District 4. Paul Kaminsky of Middleburg, Florida, represents District 5, while Dr. Thomas Zampieri of Pearland, Texas, works on behalf of the BVA membership in District 6. Mark Cornell of San Antonio, Texas, is the association's immediate past national president. Additional appointed officers are Charles Brooks of Kissimmee, Florida, National Chaplain, and Monica Gilmore of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, National Sergeant at Arms. Joe Burns of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Dr. Donald Gagliano of National Harbor, Maryland, are both honorary members of the association's board of directors. Blinded Veterans Association auxiliary officers consist of the following: President Sandy Krasnodemsky of Allen Park, Michigan, Vice President Edna Kirksey Dixon of Bay Minette, Alabama, Secretary Benjamin Holmes of Midland, Georgia, and Treasurer Carl Heitinen of Seekonk, Massachusetts. Although Pam Hogan of Canyon Country, California is the designated auxiliary reporter, Edna Dixon has filled in for her with this issue's Auxiliaries View column. BVA's national headquarters staff members are Executive Director Al Avina, Administrative Director Bridget Jones, National Field Service Program Director Edward Eckroth, and Chief Financial Officer Kathy Rouet. The Director of Government Relations is Melanie Brunson. The National Field Service Training Coordinator is Wade Davis. Christina Hitchcock is the Manager of Projects and Conventions, while the Manager of Communications and BVA Bulletin Editor is Stuart Nelson. The Human Resource Specialist for the headquarters is Chrissy Spence Gilbert, and the Membership Coordinator is Cecilia Montenegro. BVA's full-time National Field Service Resource Center staff members are Richard Lane, Patrick Johnson, Hallie Smith, and Asiya Kadri. BVA National Headquarters is currently located at 125 Northwest Street, Alexandria, Virginia, 22314. Each full-time headquarters staff member can be reached by dialing 202-371-8880 or toll-free 1-800-669-7079, and by then following prompts that connect the caller to the correct department and individual. Email communication will be forwarded to the appropriate recipient when sent through BVA's general email address, bva@bva.org. The organization's combined federal campaign number remains 10513. The BVA Bulletin is published bi-monthly by and for all blinded veterans. There is no charge to receive the print version of the publication, which is available upon request of the national headquarters to any interested individual or organization. Requests for multiple copies will be honored whenever possible. An audio compact disc version is mailed to annual and life members upon specific request. The audio version is similarly accessible via the BVA website. Contents of this issue of the Bulletin are represented by the following major headings: Legislative Update by Melanie Brunson, President's Page by Dale Stamper, Unprecedented Heights for Project Gemini, BVA honors fallen at 149th observance, Final touches applied to 72nd Convention by Chelsea Dumond, Around BVA, Auxiliaries View by Edna Dixon, Happenings in District 3 by Vernon Richmond, From the Field Staff by Wade Davis and Hallie Smith, Of Note, In Remembrance, and the customary final thought. The cover of this issue of the BVA Bulletin consists of a color photo of a lady veteran standing behind an array of red, white, and blue flowers that make up a wreath. The wreath also includes a ribbon that is also red, white, and blue. The veteran is holding a white cane and a small desktop U.S. flag with her right hand. She is also wearing a BVA service cap, dark glasses, and a bow tie in the design of a flag. In the background is a lush landscape of green trees and shrubs. Beneath the photo is the following descriptive text: Honoring Those Who Gave All, May 29, 2017. A more detailed description of the photo is found on the next page under the list of this issue's contents. It reads as follows: Mid-Atlantic Regional Group Secretary Michonne Harrison of Fredericksburg, Virginia, pictured with BVA wreath near Arlington National Cemetery's Tomb of the Unknowns, following Memorial Day tribute to fallen heroes in the cemetery's Memorial Amphitheater. Moments later, Michonne joined BVA National Vice President Joe Parker and Training Coordinator Wade Davis in the presentation of the wreath at the tomb. Additional details and images relating to the event highlight this issue of the BVA Bulletin. Legislative update by Melanie Brunson. The regular thumbnail head and shoulders color photo of Melanie accompanies her column as always. She is depicted in the photo with dark glasses, earrings, and a serious pose. There is no accompanying caption. A second photo has also been included on the first page in the first subsection of the update. It is a full-length side view of Melanie conversing with another lady dressed in formal business attire, in this case a white skirt and jacket and a light blue blouse. Melanie is also holding a dog harness as she carries on the conversation. In the foreground next to the second lady are two rather elaborate boardroom red chairs. A white-haired gentleman is visible in the far background. The caption states, Melanie Brunson, right, with VA Acting Undersecretary for Health Poonam L. Aleg, following Special Veterans Service Organization Roundtable with Secretary David Shulkin held June 29th at VA Central Office. Also shown in background, VFW Director of Public Affairs Joe Davis, and in foreground, guide dog Sparta. The text of the legislative update begins with the following. State of the VA. On May 31st, VA Secretary David Shulkin delivered a State of the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, address here in Washington. The address outlined the progress that has been made to reform the agency since he took the helm in February, as well as his vision for the future of VA. A wide range of issues were covered, including access to care, community care and choice, accountability, and the quality of care provided to veterans. Secretary Shulkin identified multiple priorities, such as reducing backlogs and getting more veterans access to mental health care and suicide prevention programs. In assessing the state of the department, Dr. Shulkin said, As a physician, I tend to look at things in terms of the way I was trained. Assess, diagnose, and then aggressively treat the patient. Though we are taking immediate and decisive steps, we're still in critical condition and require intensive care. The goal is to turn VA into the organization veterans and their families deserve, and one that America can take pride in." End quote. Greater VA accountability. Both houses of Congress have also approved legislation aimed at giving the VA Secretary increased authority to demote, discipline, and fire employees who perform poorly or engage in criminal activity or other forms of misconduct on the job. The bill also provides protection against retaliation for VA employees who become whistleblowers by reporting instances of mismanagement or misconduct within VA. The legislation also gives the VA Secretary authority to streamline the process used to hire directors for VA medical centers. A number of medical centers have long-standing openings for directors, which the Secretary contends remain unfilled because the applications of prospective candidates are enmeshed in red tape. Known as the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act, the law was approved by both houses of Congress with broad bipartisan support. It was signed into law by President Trump on June 23rd. Fiscal year 2018 budget. A few weeks before the landmark accountability legislation, the White House released its proposed budget for fiscal year 2018, which begins October 1st of this year. The funding priorities proposed by the administration for VA have been the subject of statements expressing both praise and alarm from veterans service organizations. Although the administration is proposing cuts in funding for many other federal programs, an increase of 3.6% is proposed for VA. Most of that increase is dedicated to funding a permanent second phase of the Veterans Choice Program, for which Secretary Shulkin says he will outline plans in the next few weeks. The administration proposes to pay for expansion of the Choice Program, with savings resulting largely from cuts in two veterans benefit programs. The first involves a cost of living adjustment round down for disability compensation beneficiaries. The administration proposes reestablishing the practice, which ended in 2013, of rounding down to the nearest dollar the annual cost of living adjustments, or COLAs, for service-connected disability compensation, dependency and indemnity compensation, and certain education programs. White House officials say that the impact of this round down will be minimal for individual veterans, less than $12 per year, while the cumulative impact will add substantially to the funds available to pay for expansion of the Choice Program. Individual unemployability and other benefits issues. The administration is also proposing new limits to individual unemployability, or IU, benefit payments. Veterans receive disability compensation based on disabling conditions incurred during military service. In addition to the benefits provided for these disabling conditions, some veterans are deemed unable to engage in any substantial work as a result of their service and receive supplemental individual unemployability benefit payments, which currently continue past Social Security retirement eligibility. This proposal, the second of the two aforementioned cuts, would immediately halt those supplemental payments for both current and future beneficiaries once they reach retirement age and first become eligible for Social Security benefits. IU benefits would not be terminated for veterans who are ineligible for Social Security retirement benefits. They would be allowed to continue to receive IU past minimum retirement age. During the past couple of years, members of Congress have repeatedly said that they will not balance the federal budget, quote, on the backs of veterans, end quote. In addition, before these changes can be incorporated into any budget, both of the proposals will require Congress to pass legislation that authorizes changes in the amount of benefits paid to veterans under these programs. In the weeks since the release of the White House's budget proposal, administration officials and members of Congress have both said that they have no desire to impose hardships on veterans and are, therefore, open to looking for alternative means of funding the next phase of the Choice Program and other initiatives anticipated by the proposed VA budget. We'll continue to monitor the negotiations between Congress and the White House on these issues and keep you apprised on their progress. However, it should be noted at this point that, in recent years, regardless of which party has controlled the White House, very few of the proposals contained in the budgets submitted by our presidents have made it into the legislation ultimately approved by Congress. Members of Congress are much more interested in hearing from individual constituents than they are in the views of the White House. Congressional leaders continue their negotiations across party lines and with the White House. We expect them to get serious about debating the FY 2018 budget sometime after their return from the July 4th recess. Appeals process modernization. Congress is likely to act in the next few weeks to approve legislation that would modernize the process by which veterans can appeal decisions on claims for benefits. The legislation includes measures to quite literally overhaul the appeals process. The Senate voted to approve this overhaul just before its members left for their Independence Day recess. We expect the House to act on the measures fairly quickly once members return to Washington in mid-July, since they have widespread support in both parties in that chamber as well, including unanimous support from members of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs. Measures to overhaul the appeals process are under consideration in both the House and Senate and have bipartisan support. We expect both the House and Senate to act on these measures this summer. Emergency services for mental health needs. VA has announced that effective July 5th, all of its medical centers will be prepared to offer stabilization care for former service members who come to the facility with an emergency mental health need, including those who have other than honorable administrative discharges. These individuals may receive care for their mental health emergency for an initial period up to 90 days, which can include inpatient, residential, or outpatient care. During this time, the Veterans Health Administration and the Veterans Benefits Administration will work together to determine if the mental health condition is a result of a service-related injury, making the service member eligible for ongoing treatment by VA. This is the first time a VA secretary has implemented an initiative specifically focused on this group of former service members who are in mental distress. President's Page by Dale Stamper. Photographs constitute a larger-than-usual part of this issue's President's Page. There are 3 of them. One is the usual thumbnail, head and shoulders photo of a smiling Dale dressed in a light-colored shirt and tie. The second photo is an outdoor group shot of blinded veterans, all of whom are holding white canes. There are 2 women on the far left and 5 gentlemen to the right. They are distinguished by their light-colored BVA golf shirts or the darker Project Gemini shirts. In the background is a large water fountain with water emanating from several dozen outlets. In the more distant background to the right is a small pillar containing a wreath, and in the center background is a segment of the Washington Monument. The caption states, "Left to right at World War II Memorial, full cadre of Dale Stamper friends and fellow participants in Project Gemini DC. Sue Ailes, Monica Gilmore, Dale himself, Colin Williamson, Tom Zampieri, Stephen Birkin, and Alan Walker. Not pictured, Brian Corcoran." A third photo reveals Dale, a white cane and a baseball cap in his left hand, holding the left elbow of a lady as they walk together. The lady makes use of her white cane with her right hand. To their right and to the left in the photo is a large plot of green grass. In the distant background are additional persons lingering and looking at a black wall. The caption states, Dale Stamper walks with National Sergeant-at-Arms Monica Gilmore during Project Gemini D.C. visit to Vietnam Veterans Memorial, April 5th. The full text of the President's page reads as follows. The BVA 72nd National Convention is now upon us. Every convention is significant for some reason. For me personally, this one will mark my last as National President. I still have 2 additional years of service ahead as the immediate past National President, after which I will have served for 12 years, 4 as Director of District 4 and 8 as a national officer. I have enjoyed serving BVA in these capacities. Major changes have taken place, and as an organization we have faced many challenges. One thing that brought about both change and challenge was the retirement of Executive Director Tom Miller. We knew this was coming, but it left a great void. After a diligent search, we selected Al Avina as the new executive director. Al has led the organization in new directions, establishing a more effective use of technology, starting with an efficient database system. Secondly, the board felt it was time to move the BVA national headquarters from the property we owned on H Street in northwest Washington, D.C. Our offices were housed in a historic building that dated back to the 19th century. A large portion of the annual budget was being spent on maintaining the building with such projects as purchasing new windows, keeping the heating and air conditioning systems working, painting, and plumbing. These mounting costs made it obvious that it was time to make a move. We are currently renting space from the Fleet Reserve Association in a 3-story building in Alexandria, Virginia, while searching for a building to purchase. This era of time has great potential for growth for veterans service organizations such as ours. As a Vietnam War veteran, I am still amazed when someone thanks me for my service. They not only thank me for my military service, but if they know me well, they also thank me for my continuing service to blinded veterans of all time periods and all degrees of visual impairment. This favorable attitude gives me the opportunity to ask for financial support from individuals and corporations that will hopefully fuel some of the growth that our organization so greatly needs. We continue to invite and help younger veterans to attend our national conventions. The goal is to help and support them while also providing them with the chance to become involved in the work and service of the Blinded Veterans Association. Many of them have now become active members and serve on the Operation Peer Support Committee, which has developed a new initiative to bring veterans with leadership ability and potential to the national conventions and to bring them from each of our director districts. Such efforts are already paying off. Monica Gilmore, a female blinded veteran and an avid Operation Peer Support participant in a number of recent events and activities, is now our National Sergeant-at-Arms. She is passionate about BVA and is a strong advocate. Like many of our other younger veterans, she is not only a future leader but is serving the organization right now. As I continue to serve on the board for the next 2 years, I know we'll continue to face new opportunities for growth and development. Wherever the future takes us, I feel confident that we'll succeed in the crucial endeavor to locate and produce capable leaders. Unprecedented heights for Project Gemini. 2 photos provide additional insights into the topic of this story. The first of the photos was taken at the British Airways check-in counter at Washington Dulles International Airport. Standing together are 5 individuals, 4 of whom are seen with their white canes. 2 veterans, 1 lady and 1 gentleman, are visible at the far left. They are followed by a lady wearing a British Airways jacket and name badge. Moving right, there are 2 additional gentlemen, one with U.S. Army Vietnam cap and a BVA golf shirt, and the other wearing a dark-colored long-sleeved shirt. In the background behind them appears the unblocked portion of the British Airways placard. The caption states, "Minus Kevin Jackson, who had encountered a delay in leaving Austin, Texas, BVA Project Gemini participants prepare to embark on their overnight ride to the United Kingdom for the 2017 edition of Project Gemini." Left to right, Kathy Champion, Russ Nelson, British Airways Customer Service Agent Yvette Turner, Tom Zampieri, and Dan Standage. A second accompanying photo, a much smaller one, has 6 individuals formally dressed in business attire, similarly standing together in a half circle as 2 walls meet at a right angle. There is a lady at the far left and one at the far right, next to 4 men standing in the middle of them. An exit door to perhaps another room or hallway appears in the background. The caption states, "Left to right at world-renowned Moorfields Eye Hospital in London, Dr. Renata Gomes, Tom Zampieri, Colonel Robert Mazzoli, retired, Moorfields clinical researcher Edward White, Dr. Glenn Cockerham, and Moorfields Deputy Director of Research Maria Hassard." The text of the Project Gemini recap begins with the following. 4 blinded veterans representing BVA recently gathered in the United Kingdom to share knowledge, experience, and friendship with 5 British blinded veteran comrades and 2 South African war-blinded members. Operation Iraqi Freedom participants Army Sergeant Russ Nelson, Army Lieutenant Colonel Kathy Champion, Gulf War I U.S. Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Kevin Jackson, and Gulf War I and II Marine Corps Sergeant Dan Standage all shared their personal war stories in coping with blindness and their personal peer support adjustment through rehabilitation. Army Major Tom Zampieri, retired, coordinated the trip on behalf of BVA's Operation Peer Support Committee and as a member of the Board of Directors. Tom has been on the Project Gemini Exchange each of the 7 years of its existence. The 7-day program, hosted by Blind Veterans UK, occurred May 21st to 27th in London and Brighton, England. It had as a specific objective this year the raising of public awareness of military-related vision injuries. As a highlight of the week, 3 internationally known veteran ophthalmologists joined the exchange as guest speakers at a public education Life Beyond Sight Loss seminar, May 24th, at the historic Victory Services Club in London. The 6-hour seminar focused on vision loss due to blast injuries, discussing veterans' eye trauma, traumatic brain injury, vision conditions, and joint efforts with trauma research. The Victory Club was once a popular World War I British officers' club. Presenters were Colonel Robert Mazzoli, M.D., retired, now Director of Trauma Education at the Joint Department of Defense Department of Veterans Affairs Vision Center of Excellence, Colonel Glenn Cockram, M.D., retired, Chief of VA Ophthalmology Services, and Lieutenant Colonel Kimberly Cockram, M.D., retired, Clinical Professor at the Stanford University Department of Ophthalmology. The program also included the Surgeon General for British Defense Medical Services, Vice Admiral Alasdair Walker, and Dr. Renata Gomes, Director of Research and Innovation at Blind Veterans UK. At the residence of the U.S. Ambassador to Great Britain, the group met American Embassy senior staff consisting of Charge d'Affaires Louis Lukens, Cultural Attaché Annalise Reinmeyer, and Minister Counselor for Public Relations Eric Johnson. Discussions touched on the possibility of establishing a research exchange that would include Project Gemini. Today, 70% of those suffering from blast TBIs complain of vision problems, and 15% of those evacuated with injuries of any kind have also sustained eye injuries on the battlefield. As was the case with an early April Project Gemini exchange in Washington, D.C., see the May-June Bulletin, this year's activities and discussions address the approach and treatments of eye injuries and policy goals among countries represented. It further examined common historical events with respect to vision rehabilitation programs for veterans from World War I to the present. April 6, 2017 marked the centennial anniversary of the U.S. involvement in the war, a date that was noted many times during the week. Project Gemini was initiated in May 2011, a joint initiative of the nonprofit organizations BVA, BV UK, and St. Dunstan's of South Africa. It was named for the transatlantic cable that connects the United States and the United Kingdom. The exchanges have expanded to include meetings with officials of the Department of Defense, VA, Moorfields Eye Research Center, and UK Defense medical officials. BVA honors fallen at 149th observance. Most major sections of the bulletin are articles with an accompanying photo or two. This one is the reverse, a photo essay accompanied by captions and 3 brief paragraphs at the beginning. The text of this section begins, BVA National Vice President and retired National Chief Petty Officer Joe Parker joined National Headquarters staff and Mid-Atlantic Regional Group Secretary Michonne Harrison at Arlington National Cemetery's annual Memorial Day observance. The event, the 149th of its kind at the cemetery, was directed and supervised by the U.S. Army Military District of Washington. It included a presidential wreath-laying at the Tomb of the Unknowns, music and addresses in the Memorial Amphitheater, and organizational wreath presentations at the tomb. This year's ceremony also included the U.S. Air Force Band and brief remarks by Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Joseph F. Dunford, Jr., Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis, and President Donald J. Trump. The 3 photos accompanying the aforementioned introduction consist first of 2 gentlemen standing next to a wreath situated on a stand. A lady is actually standing in the middle directly behind the wreath. The gentleman on the left is attired in his all-white Chief Petty Officer uniform, including cap. He is holding the harness of his dog. The second gentleman is holding a white cane in his left hand, and the caption states, "Left to right with BVA wreath honoring the fallen members of America's Armed Forces, Joe Parker and Guide Dog Josie, Michonne Harrison, and Wade Davis." A second photo, a nearly straight-on shot, reveals the same Wade Davis firmly holding the pole of a U.S. flag as he stands at attention. A portion of an additional flag is visible to Wade's left, and an individual wearing a service cap is visible to the right. The caption reads, "BVA Training Coordinator Wade Davis marches with U.S. flag during opening Parade of Colors National Emblem March at Memorial Day Ceremony." The three aforementioned, Wade, Michonne, and Joe, with Guide Dog Josie and two white canes, are seen standing with hand salutes in this final photo. Accompanying them at the left is their VFW escort, dressed totally in white. In the background behind them are a few rows of persons of all ages standing to watch. The caption states, "Flanked by VFW escort and with scores of onlookers behind, blinded vets offer final salute following presentation of BVA wreath." Final touches applied to 72nd Convention by Chelsea Dumond. A small photo accompanies the final details about this year's 72nd National Convention. Taken at night, the photo is a panoramic shot of a city block of well-lit shops and most likely restaurants. The photo reveals three parked motorcycles in a large open area in front of the row of shops. The caption states, "Riverside's 5 Points area of Jacksonville is a bohemian neighborhood with coffee shops, outdoor cafes, one-of-a-kind shopping, nightclubs, and antique stores." Photo courtesy of Ryan Ketterman for Visit Jacksonville and the Beaches. Chelsea's write-up begins. "We're excited to welcome all of our members, their families, guests, VA staff, and exhibitors to the Hyatt Regency Jacksonville Riverfront. We hope that as many of our attendees as possible will support BVA members Larry Bustetter and Mark Armstrong as they lead engaging education sessions covering a variety of topics. Attendees at educational sessions will have the opportunity to learn about the Victor Reader Stream device, opportunities for veteran-owned small businesses, home automation devices, and the challenges of overcoming vision loss and communication skills for the deaf-blind community. To cap off the convention's first official day, we invite our attendees to join us at the ballpark as the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp take on the Mississippi Braves." The exhibit hall, sponsored this year by LS&S Products, AI Squared Freedom Scientific Optelec, Inclusi, and Mobiance, will be open August 15 to 16th. This year we'll have more than 50 booths and 7 new exhibitors present. They will actively interact with our members and VA staff. We invite everyone to take some time to experience what our exhibitors have to offer. The President's reception will take place Tuesday evening. Attendees will be joined by the Deputy VA Secretary Scott Blackburn, as well as the event sponsor, ERA. See below for a description of the Monday-Tuesday education sessions and a list of convention exhibitors Tuesday-Wednesday. Wednesday will kick off the official business of the organization with a session open to all attendees. We encourage attendance that evening at the Guide Dog Users Group and Women Veterans Group meeting. This will also be the time to get a taste of the local cuisine during the dine-around. Interested parties may select the restaurants that appeal to their tastes and sample the offerings at those establishments, at the same time enjoying a few moments with their fellow veterans. Representatives from the VA Ophthalmology, Optometry, and Blind Rehabilitation Service will address the Thursday BVA Forum, followed by the Father Carroll Luncheon and additional insights from American Printing House for the Blind Museum Director Michael Hudson regarding the life of Father Thomas Carroll. The speech will be a follow-up to Michael's remarks 2 years ago at the same event. We encourage all of our blinded veterans on Thursday afternoon to attend the district caucus meetings to meet with those living within their director districts. The Friday morning closing business meeting will be followed by a tour of the local Anheuser-Busch factory for those who have purchased tickets. The convention will close on Friday evening with our awards banquet, honoring the winners of the Major General Melvin J. Moss Award for Professional Achievement, the Irving Diener Award, the David L. Schnarr Award, and the gavel presentations to deserving regional groups. Monday educational sessions. Victor Reader Basic and Advanced Skills. Bill Bowles will lead 2 sessions covering the basic and advanced skills associated with the Victor Reader Stream device. This device allows for easy access of audio media, including books, podcasts, web radio stations, and more. The Victor Reader Stream is a great single portable audio playback device that does not require the use of a personal computer. veteran-owned small businesses. This session will help veterans discover the opportunities available to them while owning a small business. Funding opportunities, outreach ideas, and the policies and procedures required to receive VA funding for a small business will be discussed. Engaging your community. BVA Associate Director of Conventions and Projects Christina Hitchcock and Assistant Chelsea Dumont will lead a session on community resources and tools. The session will discuss how to set up a White Cane Awareness Day and instruct participants on how to conduct blind sensitivity training in their communities. Dealing with change to vision impairment. The aforementioned Larry Bustetter, president of the Southern California Regional Group, will lead a hands-on session in which participants will discuss how vision impairment can affect an individual's career and/or lifestyle. They'll also assess their personal receptiveness to change through a three-dimensional application. Examining the communication challenges for the visually impaired. Larry Bustetter will discuss with participants the communication challenges faced by today's visually impaired. Basic effective communication skills will be reviewed, and participants will discover the challenges of successful communication during a highly interactive activity. Wearable Devices Panel. Wearable technologies offer community assistance and independence to the blind and visually impaired. Various exhibitors on site will present a brief description of their products and the benefits they provide to the blind and visually impaired. Attendees will have time for questions and comments during the session and will be able to visit each organization represented in the exhibit hall. Tuesday Educational Sessions. Officer Training 1, Secretaries and Treasurers. Successful BVA Regional Group secretaries and treasurers will lead this workshop, which will discuss the responsibilities of each role and how to keep a group's activity consistent with the Regional Group Manual. The workshop will discuss all of the requirements a regional group is required to meet and what each officer can do in order to stay ahead of the game. Secretaries and treasurers play a pivotal role in a regional group, making this session imperative to attend. Officer Training 2, Presidents and Vice Presidents. Presented by BVA Regional Group officers, the training has as its purpose a review of the roles of regional group presidents and vice presidents. The session will cover requirements to attend the convention and what needs to be done in order to be considered an active regional group. Participants will work on leadership, communication, and organizational skills that will positively impact the regional groups. Preparing for a disaster. Attendees of this session will learn the basic skills and knowledge related to emergency preparedness. These skills can help those in your community better assist you in time of need and allow you the peace of mind inherent in being prepared. Deafblind communication. BVA member Mark Armstrong of Augusta, Georgia, will highlight alert and communication technologies that assist veterans and others with dual vision and hearing loss to maintain independence. Mobile technologies, personal and at-home alert systems, and the tools to overcome difficult communication situations will be discussed. ABCs of Regional Group Planning. Larry Bustetter will briefly explore the challenge of regional group member engagement. Attendees will identify specific problems and the basics of strategic planning to offset such problems and increase engagement, recruitment, and retention. Home automation. BVA National Secretary Paul Mims will share his knowledge and experience on home automation for the blind and visually impaired. Veterans in attendance will gain knowledge about the possibilities offered by home automation that can enhance their lives through voice control. Offerings from Apple, Google, and Amazon are all accessible and can be tailored to the needs of the blind or visually impaired homeowner for security, comfort, and convenience. Grassroots legislation. Melanie Brunson will share her knowledge of local and national government and how participants can engage their local and state officials. Participants will learn the process and skills associated with creating a positive change in their communities. If you wish to improve your local transportation options, or petition your local government for audible crosswalk signals, or obtain advice for a problem you are having in your community, this is a session for you. Convention exhibitors. One Touch Project. AI Squared Freedom Scientific Optelec. IRA. Baum USA Incorporated. BITA Low Vision Enhancer. Blind Alive. Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Christian Record Services Incorporated. Crawford Technologies. Cyber Times. Designs for Vision, Inc. Enhanced Vision. Envision America. Eschenbach Optique. Fidelco Guide Dog Foundation. Fork-in-the-Road Vision Rehabilitation Services, Guide Dogs for the Blind, Guide Dogs of America, Guiding Eyes for the Blind, Inc., Hadley Institute for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Hearing Center of Excellence, Helen Keller School, HIMS, Humanware, IAAIS, Inclusit Inc., IREAT, Iron Bow Technologies, Logan Tech, LS&S LLC, Magnifying America, Maxi AIDS, Mobiance, National Cemetery Administration, National Industries for the Blind, National Library Service, New Eyes, Orcam, Polera, Randolph Shepherd Vendors of America, RAZ Mobility, Social Security Administration, Southeastern Guide Dogs, Inc., Sprint, Tampa Lighthouse for the Blind, VA Office of Research and Development, Vision Center of Excellence, and YCAB, Inc. Diener Award Origin and Future. A photo accompanies this brief subsection. It reveals a gentleman and a young boy, both dressed casually, with the boy wearing a type of headband. Together they are holding up for display a framed certificate that includes the BVA name and logo at the top. A seal is also included in the lower left of the certificate. Behind the two of them are curtains, pictures on a wall, and a portion of a bed with clothes on top, indicating that the picture may have been taken in the boy's bedroom. The caption states, Ed Diener and grandson Alexander Irving Diener, son and great-grandson, respectively, of early BVA advocate Irving Diener. Additional information about the photo is presented as follows. The annual Irving Diener Award will be presented at the BVA 72nd National Convention's Awards Banquet on August 18th to the blinded veteran who best contributed to the work of his or her regional group and the organization as a whole. Irving Diener was a New York businessman who served on BVA's National Advisory Committee and continuously supported the organization in the 1950s and 1960s. Last year, Irving Diener's son, Ed, of Fairfax, Virginia, visited BVA National Headquarters with additional financial support for the award in the name of his grandson, who was also Irving Diener's great-grandson and namesake, Alexander Irving Diener. Less than a month later, Ed presented Alexander Irving with a plaque containing a BVA Certificate of Honor in the latter's home in Colorado. He was very impressed and happy, Ed later reported. Around BVA, Lady Vets add spice at Florida RG Convention. A photo of three ladies, all with white canes and standing to the side of a Florida Regional Group banner, accompanies this brief subsection. One lady, dressed a little more formally than the other two, stands on the left side of the banner while the others are on the right. The banner includes the name Blinded Veterans Association, the regional group name, and website URL, the BVA motto, Blinded Vets Helping Blinded Vets, and the emblem. All three ladies are smiling faintly. The caption reads, Longtime Florida Regional Group member Gigi Mathis, far left, joins Korean War-era veterans Virginia Vogel, center, and Lillian Marinin next to the Florida Regional Group publicity banner at recent Florida convention. The account of the event goes as follows. The change in venue from Daytona Beach to Orlando was not the only difference in the Florida Regional Group convention this past spring. Regular attendees were treated to the registration and participation of three women blinded veterans, two of them veterans of the Korean War era, who joined BVA in 2014 and had never previously attended a state or regional group convention. They were Virginia Vogel of Port Richey, Florida, and Lillian Marinin of Ocala. Gigi Mathis of Lakeland, a longtime active member in Florida and a peacetime-era veteran, was a third female participant who has attended previous conventions and served the regional group for many years. The Florida Regional Group Annual Convention was an overwhelming success, said Group President Terry King. Terry attributed the success to the city of Orlando, the hotel, speakers, and nature of the attendees. BVA member donates flag. Walt Peters, a member of BVA's Georgia Regional Group, recently donated a Braille flag to the Jacksonville VA outpatient clinic. The gift was publicized in a story by Joe Daraskovich that appeared on Jacksonville.com on May 31st, shortly after a commemoration ceremony. The news website is managed by the Florida Times-Union. In addition to Walt, the article quoted BVA members Mike Taylor and Paul Kaminsky, highlighting their independence and the ongoing training and benefits they have received from VA. It quoted VIST coordinator Daria Wells and the challenges she faces in managing a caseload of 307 blinded veterans, including 11 women. Paul mentioned BVA as the catalyst for VA programs and for helping veterans realize that loss of vision can be an opportunity and not the end of everything they have enjoyed doing in their lives. He also emphasized the association's upcoming national convention at the local Hyatt Regency Riverfront as a chance for the Jacksonville community to become more aware of the prevalence of sight loss, especially within the veteran community. Georgia Regional Group adding new chapters. BVA's Georgia Regional Group is on a mission to more fully empower blinded veterans in their local communities by establishing additional chapters, according to Group President Jesse James Jones, Jr. By the end of June, the group had chapters in the cities of Atlanta, Columbus, and Dublin. The hope is to add a chapter in Augusta shortly after the National Convention and an additional 2 in Savannah and Macon within the next few months. Quote, "The sole purpose of the new chapter in Augusta is to keep our local veterans aware of issues that may affect them so that they can advocate for those who cannot do so," said blinded veteran Floyd Everett, one of the major voices behind the proposal for an Augusta chapter. Waco flag gift brings TV crew. Blinded veterans David Gray and Charles Smith joined VA Waco Blind Rehabilitation Center Director Chris Bosley in a television news segment run by News Channel 25 in Waco, Texas on May 19th. The occasion was still another donation of a Braille flag by the local chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, DAR, to the BRC, a gesture that many DAR chapters throughout the country are adopting as they thank veterans with vision loss for their service. The flags are also being placed in other public areas such as parks, libraries, cemeteries, and state and local government offices. The news segment focused on the veterans' appreciation for the DAR gift. It also highlighted the work of VA residential BRCs, such as the Waco facility and the training they provide to blinded veterans. "They can't give me back my vision, but they have given me back my life," said David Gray when speaking about his experience at the Blind Center. BVA saddened by Bob Campbell passing. A photo accompanying this subsection reveals 2 gentlemen, one of whom is handing the other a small box containing a knife. Both are dressed casually, with the man on the right also wearing suspenders. The man handing the knife to the other is behind a counter. Although it is a side view of the two, both have turned to pose for the photo and are looking directly into the camera lens. In the background is an open glass door that leads to parked cars in a courtyard area. 2 vehicles appear small but are visible in the photo, as is an individual standing outside with back turned. The caption states, "Bob Campbell, left, receives commemorative buck knife as symbolic thank you for his military service from Graham Crutchfield at 64th National Convention in Portland, Oregon." File photo 2009. The tribute to Bob is expressed by the following. Robert Lee Bob Campbell, Director of District 2 from August 2006 to August 2011, passed away June 2nd at his home in Prairie Village, Kansas. Memorial services were held on June 10th, with interment to be scheduled for a later date at Arlington National Cemetery. Bob graduated from Chaminade University in Honolulu, Hawaii, and received an MBA from the University of Chicago and a Master of Science from the University of Kansas. He enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps as a private and was medically discharged as a captain. Bob served 3 tours in Vietnam and was awarded 3 Purple Hearts and the Silver Star. His careers first involved banking and finance. He later did some teaching, which he continued while serving on the BVA Board of Directors. He is survived by his wife, Linda, a large extended family, and his beloved guide dog, Caesar. Louisiana members reunite in Crawfish Town, USA. A photo has been placed with this around BVA entry. The photo features 3 young musicians, 2 female and 1 male. The 2 young women are playing respectively the violin and the accordion. The young man is working the guitar. Based on the photo's background, they appear to be performing indoors in rather rustic surroundings. The caption describes the photo thus: "The Harris Family Band, consisting of, left to right, Mary, Georgie May, and Peter, entertained blinded veterans and their families and guests at the Louisiana North Texas Regional Group Annual Banquet." The brief blurb begins as follows. The Louisiana North Texas Regional Group has once again reported a successful annual meeting and banquet held at Crawfish Town, USA, in the city of Henderson. The event, to which all BVA Louisiana Regional Group members were invited, took place on April 29th. Highlights included French and Cajun music entertainment by the Harris Family Children Group, with the Arnaudville American Legion and Veterans of Foreign Wars presenting the colors. Also in attendance were representatives from the Affiliated Blind of Louisiana and the Alexandria VA Medical Center. Past BVA National President Joe Burns, 2001 to 2003, was again the Master of Ceremonies and presented a brief history of BVA. Group Vice President William Gordy gave a welcoming address, followed by a presentation by BVA member Frank Gaffney on the Randolph Shepherd Vending Facility Program and the business opportunities it affords. Gertie Bias of the Affiliated Blind of Louisiana informed guests of rehabilitation opportunities at a school in the city of Lafayette. VIST coordinator Marilyn Murray offered comments about rehabilitation opportunities through VA and successful teleconference meetings she is currently holding with veterans of Lafayette, Lake Charles, and Fort Polk. The annual business meeting followed, resulting in the election of Winston Tuckerson as president, William Gordy as vice president, Gary Scholerman as secretary, and Joe Burns as treasurer. A real benefit of this annual event is the opportunity to network with people from around the state, which allows us to get new ideas on training and also to make new friends, said Gary. BVA continues long-standing NAPS publicity campaign. BVA's Communications Department continues its long-standing relationship with North American Précis Syndicate, NAPS, a public relations service with headquarters in New York City. NAPS distributes publicity in a variety of formats to over 10,000 newspapers, thousands of online publications, over 6,500 radio stations, and 1,000-plus TV stations nationwide. Formats include CDs, postings on www.napsnet.com as downloadable files for editors with RSS feeds by subject, emails, Twitter feeds at NAPS News, Facebook posts, social media, blogs, tapes, the NAPS YouTube channel, and podcasting via iTunes. Expected results are 100 to 400 placements in print, over 500 placements in online publications with each print release, 300-plus on-air placements for each radio feature release, and over 100 on-air placements for each video feature release. During fiscal year 2017, BVA produced 2 3-column newspaper releases headlined How Blind Veterans Help Themselves and Others to a Better Quality of Life, Wade Davis's Veterans Care Reviews, and A Look at the Vibrancy of the Human Spirit, blinded veterans participating in the Bataan Death March. The organization also released 5 60-second radio releases entitled Technology Improving Lives, Veterans Helping Veterans, Veterans News and Notes, A New Way to Help Veterans, advocacy work on behalf of beneficiary travel legislation, and An Inspiring Trek. There was also one 30-second radio release entitled Blind Hockey for Veterans, and 2 30-second television releases with titles identical to those mentioned above for the other media, Blind Hockey for Veterans and An Inspiring Trek. Scripts and/or online links to productions of these releases are available upon request from Stuart Nelson at snelson@bva.org. Columbus Chapter walks for March of Dimes. A photo graces this subsection of Around BVA. The picture is a group shot that includes 9 persons, all in casual attire. The 2 individuals in the middle are the only persons with white canes, but a gentleman on the far right is seen holding a dog harness. There are 2 young people in the photo also, 1 male and 1 female. 2 female adults and 5 males round out the photo's subjects. The blinded veterans in the photo are distinguished by their BVA caps, which each is wearing. The picture is relatively small compared to most in this issue, such that the only visible background consists of tree and shrub landscape in the distance. The caption states, left to right following March of Dimes walk, Charles Alexander, Irma Bruce, and granddaughter, not named here, Clifford Jones, Liz Holmes, Jonathan Barron, Irma's grandson, not named here, Benjamin Holmes, partially blocked, and Williams Miles. The story relating to the walk reads as follows. Liz Holmes, Georgia Regional Group, had already participated in the March of Dimes walk for many years when she joined BVA and the Columbus chapter in 2015. In BVA meetings, we spoke often of community involvement, she said. What an idea to involve my chapter in this aspect of service and involvement in the community. The chapter decided to sponsor Liz in the 2016 March of Dimes local walk. Once that was accomplished, we decided among ourselves to walk as a group, she continued. It was a way to be involved in a great cause, get some exercise, and above all, to get blinded veterans recognized as an integral part of Columbus. End quote. The BVA chapter signed up to participate as a group and has now donated $1,300 to the March for Babies over a 2-year period. "We all walked 2 miles from Columbus, Georgia, through Phoenix City, Alabama, and back," said Liz. "Invigorating morning." Auxiliaries View by Edna Dixon. Edna's Auxiliaries View column also comes accompanied by a small head and shoulders photo. From what can be viewed, Edna appears to be wearing an elegant dress. The visibly lovely earrings also make her appear to be formally dressed. She is smiling faintly in the photo. There is no caption. The text of this issue's Auxiliaries View goes as follows. Convention time is fast approaching. Reservations have been made, and many of you are now about to leave for Jacksonville, Florida, just as this issue of the Bulletin is delivered to you. We, the BVA Auxiliary, BVAA Board, could not be more excited. A wonderfully informative program has been planned. At press time, still in the month of June, we must honestly confess that we can't wait for mid-August. As Pam mentioned in this column just 2 issues back, the convention represents longevity of 40 years for the BVA Auxiliary, dating back to our inauguration in 1977. We look forward to being a part of this noteworthy milestone. The BVAA theme at this year's convention is Be Aware and Be Prepared. Some of the topics we are planning are How to Know When You Need Help, You Can't Pour from an Empty Cup, and Be Aware and Be Safe. We also have 4 additional informative speakers. Presentations will occur on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. After you have made sure that your blinded veteran is settled, please join these inspiring presentations. We will also have 2 sessions of fun and crafts. Check your program for times and locations. All guests, caregivers, and spouses of blinded veterans in attendance are encouraged to come by the BVAA room to do some bidding on silent auction items. We will still accept donated items, so please bring them with you if you've not had a chance to send them to me in Alabama. The proceeds from the auction provide the funding of scholarships for the spouses and children of blinded veterans. Lottie Davis will be back with us this year. She will chair the silent auction, but she'll need some volunteer assistance. Our Renee Feldman Scholarship recipients for this year are Victoria Malasowski and Lauren McGahee. They will each receive $2,000. BVAA regional group presidents should be sure that all of their reports are up to date and that volunteer hours have been sent to Patty Hale at waya@pacifier.com. BVAA National Secretary Ben Holmes will be chairing the 50-50 raffle sales this year. The tickets will be sold at 6 for $5. Half of the money goes to the scholarship fund, and the other half is given in 3 different prizes. Many of the convention attendees wait until Friday night to buy tickets, so extra volunteers will be needed to help sell them, perhaps even at the banquet itself, where we often sell them in abundance. It is time for the renewal of membership dues for the 2017-2018 fiscal year. Dues are $15 and may be mailed to Carl Heitinen, 14 Mare Haven Drive, Seekonk, Massachusetts, 02771, or you may renew and add new members at the convention. Visit the BVAA website, www.nbvaaux.org, for forms. If you know of a member who has passed away this year, please email the information to me at revedna20101@hotmail.com. There will be a short memorial at the opening session of BVAA. Happenings in District 3 by Vernon Richmond. A small thumbnail photograph of Vernon without caption accompanies the column that follows. The photo has been placed at the top of the page. It depicts Vernon in BVA service cap, jacket, and tie. He is seen smiling broadly in the photo. The column has been composed as follows. Once this issue of the BVA Bulletin finally arrives at your homes or on your computer screens or compact disc players, we will already be more than 4 months removed from the official date of BVA's 72nd anniversary, this past March 28th. Many of our newest members may not know that BVA's history began with a formal 1945 meeting of approximately 100 World War II combat-blinded veterans who were recuperating and receiving rehabilitation training at Old Farms Army Convalescent Hospital in Avon, Connecticut. Baynard Kendrick, author of the novel and eventual movie Lights Out, about a blinded veteran in World War II, organized the meeting and invited individual veterans to attend. Not until now have I had the opportunity to publicly commend the regional groups out there who so effectively commemorated the day with luncheons, birthday cakes, white cane walks, petitions for proclamations from local government officials, and efforts to engage local media to recognize the day. Within my own District 3, we had tables set up with cupcakes and drinks in Tennessee, North Carolina, and South Carolina. The Puerto Rico regional group scheduled and carried out a white cane walk. I would like to recognize and single out the Richmond chapter of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Group for its outstanding efforts and the amazing VA support the group received from VIS Coordinator Evelyn Cabrera-Heatwole and Hunter Holmes McGuire VA Medical Center Director John A. Brandecker. Although many of our other regional groups throughout the country did similar things successfully for this special day, I wish to hold the Richmond chapter up as a positive example of what can be done with a coordinated effort and a few conscientious individuals. Enlisting VA assistance, the chapter's members and leadership went out and put something together in the name of the organization, which to me is what BVA is all about. In the process of organizing and implementing this event in Richmond, the veterans may well have brightened someone's day by talking with them about the organization. Or perhaps they taught someone more about blinded veterans from the publicity that was in the medical center newsletter about the event. Perhaps the benefit for some was simply the physical exercise from the walk that they organized. When we are engaged together in worthwhile activities as blinded veterans, only good can result from such activities. Therefore, I humbly petition our regional groups and chapters, no matter how small or how previously inactive, to get out and do something related to BVA in the capacity of community service, a social activity, educating the public, or influencing local legislation. Even if only one or two of you are involved due to others' apathy or lack of interest, start with just yourselves and check out where your efforts take you. You may be very surprised by the results. From the field staff by Wade Davis and Hallie Smith. 2 thumbnail head and shoulder shots of Wade and Hallie are also included, side by side, with their contribution to this issue of the Bulletin. Both are dressed in formal business attire. Wade's photo on the left has a white background, while Hallie's picture reveals a dark brick wall behind her. The joint article begins, Personal Fulfillment through VNSO Program. An essential part of BVA's mission to empower blinded veterans is the motto we commonly use, Blinded Veterans Helping Blinded Veterans. This is exemplified in our Volunteer National Service Officer Program, where members across the country assist fellow blinded veterans residing in their areas to obtain the VA benefits they have earned. Becoming a Volunteer National Service Officer, VNSO, can be one of the most rewarding endeavors you will ever pursue in your life. Helping newly blinded veterans turn their lives around by attending a VA BRC or helping them receive the VA benefits for which they are eligible are just a couple of the many ways in which you will have the privilege of assisting your fellow veterans. VNSOs also help the families of blinded veterans by assisting spouses with obtaining dependency and indemnity compensation, DIC, benefits, or helping entire families of deceased veterans go through the grieving process upon losing a loved one. This exciting career will add enormous fulfillment to your life. If you are ready to begin this amazing journey, the Field Service Program staff welcomes you. We stand together in this incredible opportunity. VNSO training will be held during the first 2 days of the BVA 72nd National Convention from August 14th to 15th from 8:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. in Jacksonville. This training will be packed full of information each day with topics covering as many issues as possible that arise in the daily work of the VNSO. They include compensation for service-connected disabilities, pension for low-income wartime veterans, and how to develop a claim. The excellent VA speakers who will be doing VNSO training include Guy Borgeson, Decision Review Officer from the St. Petersburg, Florida Regional Office, Eric Jacobiski, Change Management Agent, also from the same office, and Geraldine Rosado Rivera of the Philadelphia Pension Management Center. The BVA Field Service Resource Center will also run a claims office on site at the convention August 16 to 18. National Service Officers will work with you on VA claims by checking the status of an existing claim, assisting with new ones, and guiding you through the process of gathering evidence you may need as part of a claim. To make this process more efficient, we ask that you make an appointment for this service before the convention. Although walk-ins will be accepted at the convention, an appointment will guarantee you the time to work with a service officer. Please contact Wade Davis at wdavis@bva.org or call him at 202-371-8880 extension 308 to schedule a time. Of note, USABA program targets visually impaired veterans. The United States Association of Blind Athletes, USABA, recently rolled out a new program to encourage participation by visually impaired veterans in local adaptive sporting and athletic events. The program, known as the Community Sports Integration Project, has been made possible through a VA Adaptive Sports Grant. It funds registration, entry fees, and travel to visually impaired veterans as they participate in competitive or recreational sports in their local and regional communities. The funding comes through reimbursement to veterans. Mileage stipends will be considered for events more than 50 miles away, but will be capped at $75. After receiving approval to participate in an event, the veteran will receive a packet along with U.S. ABA apparel that he or she is expected to wear during the event and a call to share a photo on social media. The events covered include 5K to marathon foot races, cycling, triathlons, spring and Olympic distance only, powerlifting meets, rowing regattas, challenge events such as Tough Mudders and Warrior Dashes, swim meets, and other competitions and tournaments for golf, bowling, and sailing. Any visually impaired veteran may apply, regardless of age or location. The purpose can be recreational or competitive. Funding is available for any event beginning July 1st through September 30th, 2017. For more information and the project guidelines, contact project coordinators Timothy Hornick, 785-330-3503, or timothy.hornick, that's HORNIK, @gmail.com, or Ryan Ortiz, RORTIZ, @usaba.org. D-Day reenacted in Northern Ohio. Featuring more than 1,800 reenactors from across the United States and Canada, spectators will witness men, women, and their machines perform a living tribute to the veterans of World War II through dress, mock battles, and living history displays. The three-day event is the 19th annual reenactment of D-Day and the invasion of Normandy, France, on the Lake Erie shores of Kanoe, Ohio, August 17th to 19th in Kanoe Township Park. Admission is free for what many observers have called the most realistic and educational D-Day reenactment of the World War II era. Spectators have an unobstructed view of the battlefield. A special invitation is always extended to World War II veterans to attend the event, where they are publicly recognized and honored. Last year, more than 150 World War II veterans attended. Attending veterans from other eras are also recognized. D-Day Kanoe began in 1999 when a small group of reenactors set out to, quote, relive the day, end quote, of the Normandy invasion on the beach of Kanoe Park. Although it was not a public event initially, more than 20,000 spectators have recently attended. The program has expanded with a Friday evening of musical entertainment, a morning combat scenario, and the appearance of a World War II landing craft, a.k.a. a Higgins boat, during the beach invasion battle. Project Healing Waters offers support, rehab. Wounded military service members at Walter Reed Army Medical Center returning from Iraq and Afghanistan beginning in 2005 were the benefactors of a therapeutic program of fly fishing and other associated activities dedicated to the physical and emotional rehabilitation of disabled active military personnel and disabled veterans. Since then, Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing, PHWFF, has expanded nationwide, establishing its program in Department of Defense hospitals, warrior transition units, and VA medical centers and outpatient clinics. PHWFF has become recognized as a leader and model in the field of therapeutic outdoor recreation through applying the sport of fly fishing as a rehabilitation tool. PHWFF's next major event, the Smoky Mountain Grand Slam Challenge, will be held October 6th and 7th in Greater Knoxville, Tennessee. Now in its fourth year, the event consists of a fly fishing tournament and banquet to support the thousands of injured and disabled veterans the organization serves annually. It features 12 injured and disabled veterans from around the Tennessee Valley, paired with some of the area's best guides in fishing for brown trout, brook trout, and rainbow trout on the renowned Clinch River. For testimonials and additional information about programs and their locations, visit www.projecthealingwaters.org. Foundation reconnects vets to shooting sports. Jonathan French, a combat wounded Purple Heart recipient, has created a mechanical sighting system that mounts on any firearm, muzzleloader, or crossbow that is equipped with 1-inch scope rings. The patented French Visually Impaired Sighting System, or VIS, enables a blind or visually impaired veteran with the help of a spotter to participate in and enjoy shooting and hunting sports by accurately engaging targets in excess of 200 meters. While recovering at Walter Reed, I witnessed a lot of incredible soldiers working on adjusting to their injuries, said French. Many of us were just trying to figure out how and where we could move forward. An avid outdoorsman prior to his injury, French said he returned to the outdoors after some prodding and rediscovered his true identity, restoring the passion in life that he was missing. Realizing the therapeutic effects of shooting and hunting in my own recovery, I started the M.A. French Foundation, which provides the VIS free of charge to blind and visually impaired combat wounded veterans, he said. The system is also available at cost to all veterans and on sale to visually impaired sportsmen and women. The French VIS is also endorsed and partially funded by hunting legend Jim Shockey. For additional information, visit http://www.MAFrenchFoundation.com. In remembrance, the Blinded Veterans Association deeply regrets the passing of the following blinded veterans. From the Alabama Regional Group: Jack Robert Amos, Henry Darlington, James D. Ford, Junior Ed Foster, Earl L. Hardy, Edward L. Long, Joe Louis McNeil, Clifford Mudge, Charles M. O'Shields, Charlie C. Van Diver. Arizona Central Northern Regional Group: Floyd Beans, Jesus J. Gomez, Alan A. Gross, Charles E. Hale, Russell Keeling, John E. Larson, Wallace L. Moreland, Clifford L. Touchette, Albert B. Whipple. Arkansas Regional Group: Richard E. Williams. From Cape Cod and the Islands Regional Group: James Feely, Robert W. Scott, James E. Sheehan, Walter E. Stone, David F. Sykes. Central California Group: John C. Barkis. Connecticut Regional Group: Keith Henneberry, Donald R. Lloyd, John S. Polizzotti, John S. Sute, Kenneth L. Yackel. Emerald Coast Group: Billy M. Galloway, Louis P. Sarosdy. Florida Regional Group: Harold S. Berku, Irwin F. Dawley, Raymond Dougherty, Woodrow Goff, John Hickey, Martin Krause, Nero R. Medit, Robert M. Parks, Thomas B. Price, Robert A. Valloni, Joseph Warziniak, Wilda Weiss, Brandon M. White. Georgia Group: Sylvan H. Chasen, Donald J. Harlan, Hugh V. James, Wilbur Lowe, Francis O. McKeemy, Thomas Murphy, Paul A. Spencer. Greater Houston Group: Gary L. Crenshaw, Nelson E. Moore, Isaac Newton Walton. Hawaii Group: Roy M. Nagamine. Heartland Regional Group: Donald G. Ackley, Samuel A. Brem, Clarence E. Brookins, Robert L. Campbell, Jack G. Delanoy, Roy L. Derfelt, Thomas Owen Epps, George U. Gott, Paul M. Geiermelli, Claude H. Hinkle, Gerald D. Holt, Kenneth A. McCallop, Donald Leonard, Woodrow W. McIntyre, Frank Moon, Owen W. Nagel, Thomas E. Osterholt, Carlton W. Pittman, Weldon W. Perry, David J. Reed, William C. Shoup, Alfred G. Simmons, Marvin L. Smith, Edward Stanton, Lester Wallace. From the Illinois Group: Irwin P. Brower, Robert W. Gibson, Albert Kalina, Ernest L. Lang, Rocco B. Locido, Carl M. Marks, Barbara J. McCumsey, Norman Lee Morris, Jean R. Neela, Ronald L. Rita, Frank Rude, Ronald Schmidt, Kenneth E. Spigen, George E. Tugana, Loran Yoakum, John Richard Young. Indiana Group: Donald M. Bush, Robert L. Cannon, Thomas N. Denman, James L. Edrington, Ralph V. Eldridge, Leroy G. Fierstos, Jack L. Frudenberg, Raphael A. Grenier, John Caston, Aaron H. Kessler, Richard Lanier, Michael C. McDonald, Robert E. Newnham, James P. Nix, Richard Renard, Marion Sipe, Arthur W. Upchurch. Iowa Regional Group: Carolyn J. Ammond, Raymond C. Baker, John Gill, James P. Marhane, Gerald L. Pruitt, James R. Schaefer, Timothy Terrell. Kentuckiana: Stephen P. Adams, Frederick Baldwin, Marvin T. Brumlave, Clyde D. Blankenship, Ben Denzinger, Donald M. Durham, Ralston M. Hamlin, Robert G. Harner, George P. Holtzman, Ernest E. Matlock, Thomas O. Palmer, Burrell Price. Louisiana, Lester M. McGuire. Maine Regional Group, Harold Clinch. Massachusetts, Simon Bacola, Eugene W. Coyle, Arthur F. Cudmore, Francis Dargan, Thomas M. Fasano, Edward Goldstein, John P. Gorman, Thomas E. Healy, Cornelius J. Kinnan, Joseph D. Lapointe, Edward Y. Latifian, Anthony T. Leon, Peter J. Limbe, Henry L. Majorana, Robert L. Milliken, John V. Moriarty, Jacob Morris, Richard L. Nash, Frederick W. Richton, Francis X. Sargent, Nathan Schwartz, Philip Siegel. From the Michigan Regional Group, Howard D. Fisher, Edward J. Schick, Walter Zeich. Mid-Atlantic Group, Shelley Brody. Minnesota, Joseph D. Chisholm, Larry Duclos, Philip J. Dulac, Herbert I. Efron, Dennis S. Ferrara, Rodney Heckman, Jake B. Hutchison, Joe J. Mike, Lloyd Peterson, Gerald E. Ruttman, Richard G. Schiller, William K. Tesk, Charles Zubich. Mississippi Group, Hillard A. Carter, Charles S. Kingsley, Gustavia W. Russell, James M. Smith, Silas E. Smith, J. V. Watley. Montana Regional Group, Philip E. Donahue, William H. McDermott, Alan A. McLean, Robert Oye, Joseph E. Wedlake. Mountain States Group, Robert L. Blomker, Ricky G. Lett. Nebraska Regional Group, William R. Billingsley. New Hampshire, Robert E. Dudley, Richard L. Farnham, Wilfred A. Ledger, Conrad Simard. New Jersey, Benjamin A. Findlow, Henry P. Flynn, Joe Soriano. New Mexico, Andrew Chavez, Menard L. Clayton, Sandra Flower. New York, Robert A. Davis, Bennett R. Fitzallen Howard, Conrad G. Gaskin, Anthony Lella, Frank A. Scalia, Stanley Q. Semple, Daniel G. Sisler. North Carolina, Jerry E. Hall, John I. Reeves. Northern California, Albert C. Bauman, Richard H. Bradford, Bernice W. Collins, Benjamin M. Cuffey, Jr., Kevitt R. Day, Walter Lang, William Dan Martucci, Gustav Schmeiman, Gerald Stangl, Charles Tashikian, Robert L. Weiss. Ohio, James E. Burleson, Robert D. Carroll, John W. Carson, Kenneth Cooley, Robert C. Edwards, Charles L. Guy. From the OKI Regional Group, Marion O. Telefair, Elijah Tools. Orange County Regional Group, William E. Woodward. Oregon-Columbia Group, Robert E. Abbott. Pennsylvania, John A. Bowerly. Anthony G. Grodson, James Alden Hines, Richard K. Macon, George Talley. Rhode Island Southeastern Massachusetts Regional Group, John Correa, William C. Emsley, Matthew C. Goulet, Harold Sklar, Norman Stoller, Paul M. Sullivan. Rio Grande Group, Leo Haddad, Edward J. Molina, Anthony Molinar, Eleanor M. Newton, Mary Strickland. From the Rocky Mountain Regional Group, B. E. Tillotson. San Diego Group, Arthur C. Durson, John F. Lingenfelter. South Carolina Regional Group, Daniel J. Sullivan. South Texas Group, Benito D. Lopez. Southern Arizona, John Albee, Andrew Cruz, Al Gonzalez. Southern California, William E. Haygood, James Max Hoff. Southern Nevada, Stanley R. Thorne. Spokane Inland Empire Regional Group, Bernard A. Middleton. Tennessee Group, Hyman D. Melman. Washington State Regional Group, John D. Cope, Thomas R. Honan, Carol D. Lawrence, Johanna S. Phillips, John Hogan Stewart. Wisconsin Regional Group, Erling G. Landsverk, Richard C. Peters, and finally BVA members-at-large who have passed on, Beverly L. Dodd. Final thought. The July-August 2017 issue of the BVA Bulletin concludes with the following final words. They are accompanied by a photo of two gentlemen, standing side by side and dressed formally in suits and ties. The man on the left, who appears serious, is holding a white cane. The man on the right is smiling only slightly. This final thought is expressed as follows. BVA of Wisconsin commemorated National Blinded Veterans Day on March 28th with a luncheon hosted by American Legion Post 434 in the city of Oak Creek. The event attracted 47 BVA members and their guests, representatives of several organizations of and for the blind, and featured guest speaker Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Zimmerman, retired, who was pictured at right with Regional Group President John Carter. Zimmerman is a recently appointed career Army intelligence officer and former combat engineer soldier. He is also the recently appointed Secretary of Veterans Affairs for the state of Wisconsin. Photo courtesy of Mary Struck Photography and Advertising. And this concludes the reading of the July-August 2017 BVA Bulletin. BVA Bulletin. BVA Bulletin. BVA Bulletin.